Well, hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler, and today we're doing a review of the ZT-0566. So the ZT-0566 is unique in that it is the first assisted opening knife that I thoroughly enjoy. We got G10 on one side with a stainless steel liner, and then we have a steel frame lock on this side. Heads up, thought that was titanium up until I held a magnet accidentally to it. Turns out it's steel. Yeah, maybe do your research a little bit more. So here is a lock bar stabilizer, or basically an over travel stop. This hardware is T8, 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 T6, T6 with a lanyard hole going right through there. T8, 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 and T8. This has thumb studs, which more act as over travel stops than really anything, or external stops rather. And accessing them to flip open is extremely difficult, if at all, just even possible. So take that into consideration. You're really going to be using the flipper tab for this, but because it's assisted, it just fires open the moment you break that detent. We got jimping on the frame lock here, jimping down here on the inside of the pommel, and then we have some jimping on the back side leading into the spine of the blade, coming up here to the bolster, or whatever that would be called if there's no bolster, into the spine of the blade here. This blade is an Elmax steel, which is very, very cool. It's kind of a unique blend of stainless steel and Elmax. Like that's just, I usually associate Elmax with like a titanium, so that's a unique feature there. We have a swedge that goes down the length of the blade up until the last, I would say, quarter of an inch. That's about half of an inch right there. Maybe a little bit more than half of an inch. And you're getting a lot of strength out to this tip, and this tip is relatively robust despite it looking super skinny due to this really thin swedge. Again, there's some really aggressive, large jimping on this side, and then you have this, I'm going to call this the slicer grind from Hinderer with the drop point, and it turns into, instead of a real drop point, to me it looks more like a spear point, but take that or leave it, right? We have a sharpening choil right here that leads into the plunge grind of the blade right there. A lot of writing on this side, 0566BW, Hinderer Design, USA, Elmax, serial number 5148. And then on this side, all you have is the ZT logo, which is pretty sweet. Inside here, there is no milling. This thing is pretty darn robust. And dare I say, I was holding the 0560, and this thing actually I appreciate almost a little bit more, both in ergonomics, both in dense feeling, and it just, it is very, very good in hand. This definitely feels like an XM18 3-inch. I've held one now finally, and this feels almost the equivalent, if not a little bit better ergonomically. So that's a really good thing. And it's kind of what got me to say that I actually like an assisted opening knife. Never thought I would say that in my life. This one broke the mold. So therefore, I am a forever assisted opening knife lover. Not true, but I do love the 0566. So kind of a little bit more details going into here. There's some chamfering all along the edges of this G10. And then on this side of the stainless steel, there's chamfering as well going all around. And it's knocked down really, really well. We got some milling on the inside of this, right there, right there. Let's see if we can see it. Right there, there you go. Got some milling right here inside of the relief cut area. And the relief cut's not insanely sharp. It does have a little bit of an edge, but it's not like some relief cuts that you touch and you're like, what the flying fudge knuckle. No, it doesn't feel like that. It's not bad. So as I said, in hand ergonomically, this is pretty good. Talk about sharpening choil coming down the plunge ground, blah, 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 blah. Let's see if we caught up. Okay. So that's just about caught up with where we're at. Let's get you guys some specs, some size references. I'll recap pretty quick, and then we'll give you my overall thoughts. So this is coming in right at 5.3 ounces. So for a smaller knife, it's not smaller, but it's definitely not a large knife. I bet you the blade length's coming in like something like, I don't know, freaking 5.2 or something like that. Where's my freaking tape measure now? What is going on in my life? Right. Overall length. So the overall length of this guy is coming in at about 7 3/4 inches. The blade length is coming in at about 3 1/4, and the cutting edge is just at 3 1/4 as well. So you're getting a decent amount of cutting edge to whole handle ratio. Whatever that was failed. I'm trying to do multiple things at once, and your brain just goes, nah. All right. So the blade stock thickness on this guy is coming in at a 1.2, so it's not entirely, it's pretty standard. I mean, 1.2 is relatively, it's on the thinner side, but not insanely so. The behind the edge is coming in at a 0.25, between a 0.25 and a 0.3. Let's see here. Yeah, in between 0.25 and a 0.3. So it's not going to be your most slicey of beasts, but it's going to be a freaking workhorse. I consider the little bit thicker behind the edge something that's going to hold it's just going to be a little bit more robust. Might not hold its edges long. That's a totally different conversation topic. So the overall thickness of this scale to scale is relatively thin, coming in at a 0.44. Just shy of that. And then the overall height in your pocket is coming in at a 1.4 at its tallest point. So that's not entirely that tall, but it is taller than a lot of knives. I mean, most knives are coming in at a 1.2. Your Manix 2 is coming in at 1.76. Your PM2 is coming in at 1.6. And your PM3 is coming in at 1.66. But, yeah, let's get you guys some size references. Here is your... I was going to call it your ZT Feldspar. That's your CJRB Feldspar. The Feldspar is coming in at right around the same length. So this thing's just about the same size as a Feldspar. I wish that I still had my XM18 3-inch. As you guys know, I am a trading fool, and I do not have that currently. But the XM18 3-inch would definitely show a great size reference here. So here is your Rat Model 2. It's just a little bit longer than your Rat Model 2, but much shorter than your Rat Model 1. Alright, so to jump into your Civivis, which, just because I reviewed one doesn't mean you have to go back in the case here or review a knife. Here you go. That's your Civivi Brazen. So your Brazen's coming in about the same length here, uniquely enough. I didn't really expect that, but your Civivi Elementum is coming in at slightly shorter. Last but not least, let's get to your Spyderco sandwich. We have your Spyderco Little Native, little beast of a knife, and for today's viewing pleasure, the Spyderco Domino. It's a little bit longer than your Domino, a lot longer than your Little Native. All right, let's get these guys away, get you guys some overall thoughts. Let's recap first. All right, so this is some G10. We got some chamfered edges with T8 screws and a lanyard hole right here. Some jimping on the back of the scales, and then that leads into some jimping on the back of the spine. Relatively aggressive jimping. We have some Hinderer-esque barrel spacers right there. If you recognize Hinderer barrel spacers, these are similar to Hinderer. They're not the exact same, but they're very similar. We have a stainless steel frame lock with an over travel stop or a lock bar stabilizer, depending on who you are. We have a deep carry pocket clip that is tip up, tip down, or tip down, tip up, ambidextrous. That's very cool. As you guys can see here, frame lock, and of all things, it is assisted, and oh my gosh, does this thing fire so freaking hard with no blade play and damn near perfectly centered. This is I'm going to call it a spear point with a swedge that comes down a majority of the blade, leading to a lot of strength in that tip. Flat grind, or we can call it Hinderer slicer grind for the sake of argument, as it comes up like this. But we have a sharpening choil right here that's a pretty well done into the plunge grind, and you can see that somebody tried to sharpen that plunge grind. No? Is that? Don't tell me that's how they did that. If somebody didn't try to sharpen this, then ZT did this. Look at this. Right there. It looks like somebody tried to do that, right? But then you go to this side, and it looks almost uniform. I wonder. I have to ask the owner. Ryan, you know anything about that? You know anything about that? Huh? Do you? So yeah, FYI, Ryan lent this into the channel, so thank you, Ryan, for lending these in. He lent the 0560, the 0566, the 0353, and a knife that you guys haven't seen because my unboxing disappeared on me. I'm going to have to do like a first impressions. It has been in the box since I unboxed. Anyways, off topic. Again, this is a assisted knife with external stops and does have a stop pin back here. I'm gonna assume that this thing's riding on bearings, but I don't know why you would do bearings in an assisted knife. It doesn't feel like bearings, actually. This feels like phosphor bronze, but it kind of looks like bearings. I mean, it really doesn't matter because it's assisted, but I think that's why I never paid attention. See right there? That kind of looks like bearings to me, but it could be a phosphor bronze. Again, it doesn't feel like bearings right here, and I can't imagine why you would do this on bearings when it's assisted. That would make that thing, but whatever. Again, it's assisted, and it snaps open great. The ergonomics are fantastic, and what do I love about this? A lot of things. So I love the overbuilt feel. I love how dense this thing feels. I like the jimping on the back. It really sits nice. And the fact that it is assisted feels like it's like that snap out. I hate closing it, but I love the bam. It snaps out so freaking hard. And guys, what's the difference between assisted and automatic? Huh? Think about it. Think about it and give me a definition, because virtually the same thing. I don't want to hear it. Just because assisted, all you have to do is do this. I broke the D10 for you. That's all you have to do. All you have to do is break the D10. When on the automatics, all you have to do is say, I press a button for you. Anyways, it's something that'll blow your mind, because we devalue assisted knives but value automatic knives. I've been fighting with that mentally for quite some time. Captive pivot, by the way. So I love the ergonomics. I love how deep carry this is. I love the dense feeling. I love the overbuilt feel of this. And I actually really appreciate how close they came to a Hinderer XM18 3-inch. There's so many similarities in this, and even ergonomically, and dare I say slightly better than the XM18 3-inch ergonomics. It just feels great. The blade looks the exact same as an XM18. The LMAX steel, now that's unique and very, very cool and appreciated on this. Once again, I don't really know why they have LMAX steel and a stainless steel. That confused the crap out of me when I had my magnet up there. But this knife is coming in at $140. I believe it is discontinued. Wah, wah, wah. But that's all right. You guys can probably find them on the secondary market for relatively cheap. It's not like people are jacking up the prices on these guys. So if you're interested in it, it's not going to be that big of a deal. All you got to do is probably put it out there. Say, hey, I'm looking for a 0566. Somebody's going to be like, I got one here. Take it off my hands for 120 bucks. But this thing is a workhorse of a knife. I think you guys would genuinely appreciate this feel. And they always say, and by they I mean us as reviewers, but reviewers that are better than me, you got to get your hands on a 0562. It's going to give you that cheaper Hinderer feel. You can get the feeling from a 0562. Speaking of which, the 0562, it's going to give you that Hinderer XM18 feel. You're absolutely correct. This does kind of feel like a Hinderer XM18 in some ways, and in some ways it doesn't. But you can get it for cheaper. At the 0566, if you can find this on the secondary market, which you'll find it for relatively cheap, probably because it's a stainless steel frame lock with assisted. I mean, that's just for some reason not sought after. This feels more like a Hinderer XM18 3-inch, in my opinion, than the ZT0562 feels like an XM18 3.5-inch. Now, take that with a grain of salt. That's just a feeling in hand. But this feels more like a Hinderer XM18, which they're both XM18 designs. And this may not be the slicer grain because that's small. This is the slicer grain. It just might be a regular, whatever. Anyways, they're both Hinderer XM18 designs, but this I'm jumping all over myself. This 0566 is definitely more Hinderer of a design, in my opinion, than the ZT0562. Speaking of, go back to this just so you guys can kind of see a size reference of the difference. The 0562 is slightly bigger. And looking at it, it's actually not that much bigger. I mean, you're getting a little bit more width and a little bit more length, but overall, it's not like an insane difference. So that's pretty cool. I really didn't go over my likes and dislikes. I clearly really don't have any dislikes with this. Even the assisted value, like, I just think that's kind of cool. It's different. I I don't wish this was stainless steel. I love the heft, or I don't wish this was titanium. I love the heft that it gives, and I love the fact that by giving it stainless steel, you're probably getting 50 to 100 bucks off just flat because they didn't use titanium. And like I said, if you can get your hands on one, which you probably can for pretty cheap, you're going to get your hands on a Hinderer XM18 and it's going to feel like one. So that's a really, really cool thing. I don't have too much more to say about this. I kind of rambled on and went a little off course. This is a great little fantastic knife. The 0566 is an absolute winner, and probably, I hate to say this in front of every other knife that I own, but for the $140 price point, maybe one of your best valued knives. I know it's discontinued and it sucks and I'm kind of ranting about it, but for 140 bucks, you're getting a lot out of this guy, and I really appreciate it. So I really truly believe around that $140 price mark, there's not many knives that beat this value for what you're getting. All right, guys. My name is Tyler. This has been Everyday EDC. This is the Hinderer 0566 ZT Zero Tolerance knife. You guys stay sharp, stay safe, have a great freaking day, and thank Ryan for landing this into the channel. Have a good one, guys. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. It genuinely means a lot. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment. If you didn't like it, give me some feedback in the comments below and hit the thumbs down button. In case you guys don't know, I do have a Patreon, which will be listed right here. In that Patreon, we're giving bi-monthly giveaways to just the Patreons based on the number of Patreons that we have in the Patreon. We will also be giving discounts on all the knives that I sell based on the number of patrons. My name is Tyler. This is Everyday EDC. You guys stay sharp, stay safe, and have a great day.